Hey you guys, today we are going to do a little chit chat. Are going to have a little discussion. I had some questions over the past few months about our home, how's it been, the upgrades that we chose, and I always said I was going to do a video like this before we close on the house, but I figured I would kind of just wait, settle in, get my mind and my life together, and then I would be able to actually give you guys a rundown of, certain things. So as you can tell by the title, today we are going to be talking about some of the options and design center upgrades that we decided to choose, and also just give you like an update on what's been going on in the home, how we're feeling thus far, things like that. So before we get started, let me go ahead and say again, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button as well as that notification bell so that you do not miss any of the videos I have coming your way. Yeah, let's get right into it. While we are doing this chit chat, I am actually going to be folding up some sheets and blankets. My kids have access to the linen closet where we hold all of our linens and whatnot, and honestly you can tell I wasn't the one folding clothes and putting things in there. It was just, I felt like my OCD and my anxiety just kicked in and went on a rampage when I opened up that closet. The past 2 days we have been cleaning up, and this was the last duty or task on my list. So yes, I have pile of sheets that I am matching up, folding up properly so I can get back in the linen closet. All right, so that's what we're doing now. First, let's just do a check-in. We have now been in our home for 7 months, and it hasn't been bad. It's been a journey thus far, and it's been, honestly, it's been trying times. It's been some adjusting. That's the word I can say. It's definitely been a blessing. It's just a mixture of emotions that I personally feel since being in our home this far. I have my notes, so if I'm looking down, I have my notes about everything that we're going to talk about today. So with this 7-month check-in, let me just go ahead and give you a little rundown of things that I've noticed, and things that, I just ultimately do not like. Let me start off by saying I absolutely love our home. The floor plan that we chose, I loved it since the moment that I saw it. It's great. The model home that I saw of our floor plan, I was like, oh my God, this is like the perfect starter home. It's great. Let's make it do what it do. Now that I've been in this house for 7 months, I realized, there's some things that I possibly could have either done without, or I wish I would have chose differently, things like that. So let's get started with that. Just a little simple things that I think I can say I dislike or wish I would have chose differently. The amount of bedrooms that we have. Our floor plan is a 3-2, and there is room to make it into a 4-2. The front flex room, you have that option to turn it into a bedroom or keep it as a flex space. And we honestly chose to keep it as a flex space because we didn't know if we wanted to have an office, if we were going to keep it as a play area for the kids. As we were trying to figure that out, we opted out of making it a bedroom, which means we did not get a closet, and we didn't get a door in that space. I'll get into details about what we could have added a little later into the video, but us not making that a bedroom definitely kind of made it a little harder for us now that we have been in the home and now that we are expecting another baby. We are trying to figure out how we want to put the kids, and essentially we are going to just put the two youngest in the room together and my daughter still keeps her room. We thought about bringing my daughter to that front room, but then again, we still want that designated office space. So just trying to figure those things out. And I feel as though we had the amount of bedrooms that we know deep down we wanted, this wouldn't be an issue. That also goes back to, like I said, the storage situation and why I'm doing what I'm doing right now, folding these linens. We only have one storage closet in our entire house. We have ample amount of space where we could put shelving and pantry style cabinets or whatever to store things. But now we only have this one small linen closet, and it's hard. It's hard because I'm used to having, again, extra bedrooms with extra closets where we can store things, having storage in our garage where we can store items, having extra cabinets and storage in the laundry room. So it's not bad, but it does mean that that's money that we're going to have to spend later on, or eventually, to add the extra cabinetry or storage that we will need to make up for the fact that we only have one linen closet. I feel like this amount of home is perfect, especially for starting off. Maybe if we had 3,000 square feet, that would be like the perfect happy medium. Not too big. It's not small at all. It's just, it'll give us enough space that we need. And honestly, I don't want a 2-story home, or I was okay with a flat, and having 3,000 square feet of flat space, but sorry guys, my heartburn is kicking in. Home size. So I talked about the bedrooms, wishing that we probably had more space with that because we are adding another baby to our family, as well as the storage space. I say that, but I love the space of our home. It's a lot of house in our commons areas and whatnot. It's a good amount of space. I want to say a gathering that we had a good 60 people in our common space and out on our back patio alone, and we still had other areas of the home that wasn't even touched. So it's a good amount of space, but in the same time, I remember before we decided to choose this builder, this floor plan, we were doing our research, and I want to say it was Madame Homes. They had a floor plan called the Iris. If you look up or Google that floor plan, that is the floor plan that I would love to have, like as my forever home. It was the perfect flat 1-story home, 3,000 square feet or so, a little over 3,000 square feet, but it was 1-story, ample amount of bedrooms, ample amount of bathrooms, and common spaces and living spaces were just enough to host gatherings, have parties, everyone be in their own space. Your grandparents or your parents could come and stay with you for a while, and you don't really cross paths. Like, that was the perfect floor plan. But essentially the area and the price point, it wasn't where we needed to be right now. But that floor plan, there's a few others I loved, but that floor plan is going to always be in the back of my head. So if I could definitely go back, I would figure out a way to get my money to where it needs to be so that we can have that floor plan. It's beautiful. A few other things that we noticed throughout this time frame, 7 months, we've been through the end of spring because we closed in March. We went through the summer, and now we are entering the fall season. Fall season for us in Florida, of course, and in the summer is hurricane season. So the rainy days where it's raining hard nonstop. It's starting to get cooler. Today actually is one of the first days where it's really changing outside. And what I'm noticing as far as our lot placement goes, that's something that I probably would have put more consideration into. When we first moved into our home, I knew, oh my God, I don't want a lake view or a lake behind our home because I thought about the snakes and the alligators. And our neighborhood is built on top of a swamp, honestly. So the preserve that's in our backyard, it goes all the way around into literally what used to be, all this was woods. So that's still just preserved that they kept. There's alligators, there's anacondas. They're not anacondas for real, but they're huge snakes. We have a kayak launch over there that's open to the whole community, open to the city. So it's a big swamp that goes into the St. Johns River. And just puddles over here. So wild boars, we see wild boars, we've seen some coyotes, thank God we haven't seen any snakes in our yard, but I've seen some in our neighbor's yard. I've seen pictures, and that ultimately makes me feel I took a good risk with our lot choice. I didn't want to have a lake. I chose to preserve because of that reason. But at the same time, with the preserve, we have these little trees. And with the hurricane season that just passed by, and I want to say we might even, last I checked, we have another hurricane coming this week, but that would have been for tomorrow. And I haven't heard anything else. So fingers crossed that it's not. But we just had 2 major hurricanes, Helene and Milton, here in Florida. And Milton honestly was a breeze for us here in Northeast Florida. Helene did some damage, and luckily no damage to our home. I thank God every day. But our neighbors, a tree from the preserve fell on their roof. So watching our Facebook page for our neighborhood and seeing what some of our neighbors are saying, these trees are very flimsy, very skinny. They're breaking with just a little amount of force and wind. And I didn't pay attention to that before we chose this lot. And that's because I didn't have access to my Facebook group or to my neighbors to really get an idea of that information. So now that we've been in our home for 7 months, and I've been in the Facebook group and I've been seeing what our neighbors have been saying for the past 2 years, these trees are dangerous. And the past hurricane, we've seen them literally uproot from the ground and fall whichever way they want to fall. So with that being said, now that I'm in my neighborhood, maybe I would have taken a pond in the backyard and just did all of my due diligence when it came down to pest control and, yard maintenance, so that I don't really have to be too frightened when it comes to the snakes and everything. Because roof damage, I just went over how much that cost, y'all, and home ownership ain't no joke. I'ma just say that. I pray to God we do not have to worry about no tree falling on our yard now that we have a preserved backyard and a preserved lot. So that's something that I probably would have put more consideration into and really decided. But at the end of the day, I do love where we have our home across the street. If we would have had that lot with the lake with the lake view in our backyard, we would have a sidewalk going through our yard. Our driveway would have been shorter. So there is some pros for sure with us choosing the lot that we chose. The next point that I wanted to talk about with our 7-month check-in is basically just the reality of what we're dealing with now that we are homeowners, being young millennial homeowners at that. We see what our parents go through, and now that we're really dealing with it firsthand, it's kind of like, wow, why they didn't tell me that? It's so much that goes into this house. I would have never thought to ask, and I understand why my parents never thought to tell me about it. For example, the gutters. We are inquiring or thinking about a fence for our backyard and possibly screening in our back patio. The cost of those things, it's a lot. But I honestly am happy that we did not get any of these items built into our loan, because we'll be spending more money over a longer period of time. That's interest that would have been needed to be paid into our mortgage, or, extra interest that would have just needed to be paid that is unnecessary when we could just stack up for a few and get those things done. And honestly, I'm also happy that we didn't go ahead and do a fence or do the screen for our back patio, because now that we've been here, we actually love the openness of not having a fence. And our neighbor to the left, they ended up getting their house fenced off. So that's one side already done. If we do decide to get a fence, that's cheaper for us. I think our neighbor to the right, they kind of feel how we feel. They kind of like the openness now that they're in the home, and it's not bad. I think once we really get back into the summer months, we will decide if we want to do a fence. But we started getting some quotes, and just for our lot space, excuse me, just for our backyard space, we're looking at almost $5,000 just for the fence. So I'm happy again we didn't go ahead and buy that within the loan, which $5,000 is probably what, $1 or $2 on the, I won't say $1 or $2, but you know, probably would have been a small amount to our monthly mortgage price or amount. But I don't know. I like the fact that we had time to really decide if we want it or not, where we would want a door for the fence. Like, you know, just give us really a lot of time to decipher how we want to make that work. Same thing with the screen. We would have been stuck with the standard screen if for our patio, if we decided to go through the builder to get that done. And the price was double the price versus waiting for after closing, and even using the same contractor that our builder uses is 2 times cheaper if now that we've waited. So also now that we've decided not to do the, I won't say that, but we also decided, because our patio is so big, we actually like the idea of keeping it open. So that brought us to the idea of doing retractable or automated, to do an automated or a retractable screen. And that wasn't an option when we were getting our house built, if we decided to do the screen before closing. So I love that we took the time to really decide on some of those type of improvements. Of course, it will add value to our home whenever we decide to sell, if we decide to sell. But as of right now, I just love that we really took our time with choosing those things. Last thing that we didn't do was that I wish we probably would have put a little more thought or consideration into was our gutters. Rainy season started a little bit after we moved in, and we see how not having gutters have kind of messed up some of our plants, have caused some type of puddling and flooding in our yard. So again, it's cheaper now that we will get gutters after closing, but if we would have budgeted for that a little bit more or sooner, we could have got that done more. But you know, it's okay. My dad already told me, you know, get gutters when you see fit. As long as you can do it within the first year or 2, your home is protected. You'll be good. You won't have any major issues or anything. So yeah, that is what we are doing, what we're up to. Lastly, with our 7-month check-in, we're still decorating. We're still figuring out our flow of things and how we like things to go. I kind of also decided not to really change too many items on our own until after we have our 1-year check-in with our warranty company and our builder. As you guys know, we had an issue with our secondary bathroom having some water damage, and because my husband changed one of the fixtures, they tried to void the warranty, even though the issue was a behind the wall issue. So that reminds me, after this video, I'm going to call them and check on that. But because of that situation, we just decided not to change anything until our warranty is up for that 1 year, when it comes down to some of our hardware and fixtures and whatnot, and not to paint the walls too much dark colors, just so we can see any type of cracks or anything that we'll need to have touched up at our 1-year mark. So yeah, that's what's going on with our 7-month check-in. Let's get into the nitty-gritty of this video.